Hey guys, Bryan Schroeder here, and Suzanne Luther with FasterFunds Lending. We wanted to just kind of give you an update on the state of the real estate market in the St. Louis area from our perspective. Um, we do what I guess we got about 150 loans out there right now. I don't know. What do we do about 300 loans a year or something like that, give or take. So we got a pretty good perspective on what's going on. So just wanted to share it with you. So hopefully it'll help you, I don't know, navigate the little bit of a changing times we got going on right now. So I'm gonna just get us started here, and Suzanne's gonna jump in throughout the call here. But first of all, stats. Where are we at with the market as of November 10th? We're doing this on November 10th, 2022. A couple days after the election, and inflation readings came out this morning, so which was down a little bit. So I think that might, I don't know, help a little bit over time. But as of today, in the St. Louis area, so when I say St. Louis area, I use St. Charles County and St. Louis County for my stats here. So months of supply is 1.37 months of supply. So super tight supply still. I mean, it's not quite as tight as it was a few months ago, but it's still, holy smokes, pretty darn tight supply. Average days on market is 25 days. Which kind of over the spring, we got used to everything selling like in 2 days. So 25 might sound long, but it's still pretty dang short, average days on market. The 30-year fixed mortgage today is 7.24, which, you know, historically is not a bad number, but holy smokes, you could get a 30-year fix for like 3% back at the first of the year. So that's a huge run up in interest rates over the last, 6 or 8 months or so. And local banks. So for any of your landlords out there that are refinancing with local banks, every local bank's a little different. They're not all exactly the same, but I would say 7-ish is kind of the going rate right now. Maybe a few of them you get a little less than that. A few of them are going to be a little more than that, but those are kind of the stats that I'm seeing. Suzanne, is pretty much what you're hearing too.
Yep, yeah, I agree with that. I think the biggest thing that I get a lot of feedback or questions on is how come the 30-year fixed rate is different than local bank rates? And it's because they're based off two different things. Local banks are the ones when you're getting your commercial loans are based off Fed uh, increases and stuff like that. So it's typically tied to prime. So that's why those rates are the way they are. So I know that's just been a common question I've been getting a lot lately.
Right on. So tell us what you see, what's going. You keep track of every house that one of our borrowers lists for sale and how fast it sells and that kind of stuff. And you walk a lot of houses. So anecdotally, what are you seeing in the St. Louis area? What's going on in the market?
The St. Louis market has been weird. We have people who will list a house on Thursday or Friday, put on a good product, and they may only get 5 to 10 showings, and they may only get one offer, but they're still getting an offer the weekend they list it, and they're selling it for right around list price. I would say people aren't seeing um, those waivers that they were seeing a few months ago, waiving inspection clauses. People are having like actual uh, inspection deadlines, things like that. People are asking for closing costs. People are asking for home warranties, things that we just weren't seeing, over the summer at all, and we really haven't seen much of in the last year. But then it's then we have other houses that are just quite frankly sitting on the market. They're in I feel like I keep trying to find a rhyme or reason, and I can't really find a rhyme or reason why some sell same weekend and others don't. I do think that some of the biggest factors that come into place is people who are listing their house based off of sales from the summer. Uh, those seem to be the ones that are sitting. You probably could have gotten a little bit more if you sold it over the summer. And when they list more aggressively on price, they're just not getting any traction. And also people who aren't listing it, I would say, like putting their best foot forward with their listing, kind of just having An average rehab, maybe they're not going the extra mile to get, quality professional photos. There may be, 6 months ago, I would never recommend people to stage a house. It just wasn't necessary. Now I think it is nice to stage a house, especially when you're in, the 300 price point and above. I don't think it's a great time for virtual staging with photos. I think it's time to actually do real staging and things like that, and just really going through the house with a fine-tooth comb before listing. They are having better success with selling them a little bit quicker.
Cool. So I'll sum up what I heard you say is basically the market's still pretty good. It's not like it was 6 months ago by any means, but it's still pretty solid. Even though interest rates have gone up because we got such low inventory. If you price it right, you got a good product, it'll sell pretty quick.
Yep.
Awesome. So let's do some predictions. I think predictions are fun, so I like to do them. So in 6 months from now, so right now it's November, so at the beginning of the spring selling season, do you think the prices of a typical home are going to be higher than they are today or lower than they are today?
I predict lower.
I do too. So we both think the prices are going to be lower 6 months from now than they are today. Days on market, are the houses going to be selling faster or slower 6 months from now?
Definitely slower. I predict more inventory.
Yeah, so right now days on market is 25 days, month of supply is 1.37. So we both think days on market are going to be a little longer and the months of supply are going to be a little higher. Rents, are rents going up or going down over the next 6 months?
I'm curious to see what happens. I think they're going to be, I'm predicting they're going to be right about the same. I think they're going to stay pretty flat is what I'm predicting.
Yeah, that's pretty much what I think too. Pretty flat, maybe slightly up, but flat to slightly up would be my thoughts. Interest rates, is the 30-year fix going to be higher or lower 6 months from now than it is today?
I would love to know what the Fed is going to do. I think it's going to be pretty flat. I think it may be down a little bit. I don't see them going up though, much more.
Cool. Yeah, I think the 30-year fix is going to be lower. I think local banks may be higher. So that's my take. But not dramatically either way. Similar to where they are now. I don't think this huge upward trend is going to continue, but I don't think they're going to drop rapidly either. But I do think the 30-year fix is going to be lower than 7.24 6 months from today. All right, so it's a little bit of a changing market. It's actually a lot of a changing market right now is what's going on. So let's give some really quick tips for wholesalers, rehabbers, and landlords, because that's what most of the people we deal with. Wholesalers, any tips you got out there for wholesalers in the market we got going right now?
I think go back to selling to your strong buyers. I feel like for the last couple years, I've been telling wholesalers, take the best price. And I think that those days have passed. I think you really need to know the buyers that you're working with and have really solid financing, or they're going to be in a little bit of a pickle, and really buy deep. Because I think those quality buyers are going to want to buy deeper than they've been buying the last 12 months.
Well said. I would agree with that. And maybe just make sure you're communicating really well with your sellers and you're using inspection clauses when needed, because it might be a little bit more difficult to find buyers. And you said this, but I'll say it slightly differently. Work with buyers that are really solid financially, because over the next 6 months, I could see lending institutions tightening up a little bit. So make sure your rehabbers and landlords you're selling to are solid financially. All right, rehabbers. What tips would you give for rehabbers in this market we're moving into?
I think buying in strong retail areas. Don't buy in transitioning areas. Buy houses that you can fix pretty fast. Don't do any big projects right now. I'm thinking, 2-3 months is what it should be taking you to get that house finished and listed back on the market. Don't do anything weird. Now is not the time for weird houses with funky layouts, houses with weird issues, weird streets. Avoid weird, because they're not going to sell. If you've got more inventory, you're going to have a harder time finding buyers for that. And I also think just make sure you're putting out a really quality product. A lot of rehabbers were kind of able to, you know, kind of quickly move through a project and maybe not pay as much attention to certain things. Make sure you're really picking, you're making the walls look good. You're making sure your fixtures look nice. Make sure your kitchen looks nice. Make sure your baths look nice. Make sure you're putting out a nice looking product, and anything you can do to help make it stand out a little bit more, and not just do the same standard basic finishes will also help.
Well said. I have nothing to add to that. You covered it all. Landlords, what kind of advice would you have for landlords going into this environment?
I think the biggest thing is really making sure a house cash flows. I feel like I've been talking to a lot of landlords lately. I know, Bryan, you've been talking to a lot of landlords lately, and they're like, but we really like this house, but gosh, it's cash flowing like $25. I wouldn't do it. I try to buy it deeper. Just really make sure that the house is cash flowing. And I also think that, make sure you're still putting out a great rental product too. I think the same kind of tips that I said for rehabbers do apply a little bit towards landlords. Don't be buying a lot of weird houses. Don't be putting out, a crappy rental product. Make sure your product looks nice, so that way you'll get the better, higher end of rents.
Well said. And I guess the only thing I would add to that, and this is, I guess, true for rehabbers too, is make sure you're communicating well with your lenders. I do think we're going into an environment where lenders are going to be tightening up, and lenders are going to want to lend to their favorite borrowers. So be one of their favorite borrowers. And what a favorite borrower is just somebody that's got some cash reserves, and they do their paperwork, as in they've filed their taxes, their, bookkeeping's all up to date, those type of things. So be one of those guys. Keep your financing in place.
And I think reaching out and being proactive with your lenders is also good. Just letting them know, hey, here's my plan. Does that still work for you? Talking to them is really important right now.
Well said. Awesome. And let's just wrap this up with, we are going into some a little bit crazy times. We've had a crazy times over the last few years, but the crazy times we're going into are probably going to be a little different than we've had in the past. So what's super important in times like this is just be positive, keep a positive mindset, do all the things that you need to do on a daily basis to stay positive, eating right and exercising and hanging out with friends. Don't, let any of those type of things slide. Make sure your mindset is positive and you're having fun, because that's what life's about. And real estate investing, it's about freedom and having fun and doing what you want to do. So make sure you're doing that. So that's all we have for you this week, unless you got anything else to close us with here, Suzanne.
The one other thing I'd add is also make sure now's a great time to have a lot of cash. So make sure, whether that's cash in the bank or you're getting cash from private money, you're getting commercial lines of credit, however you're getting, cash, whatever that looks like for you, it's a great time just to have extra cash on hand.
Awesome. We'll give you an update every month on what we're seeing in the market. Hopefully this is helpful for you.